Dude, how about that party the other night?
That was
how crazy did that get?
Off the wall.
Just all the stuff that was happening, man. I went like 8-0 when we were playing that game.
Did John bring them drugs out to you?
He gave me something, I don't know what it was, but it made the night a whole lot better, I'll tell you that.
It was awesome. Definitely.
Hey guys!
What's up, boss?
What's up, boss?
Remember we're trying to push for a drug-free workforce, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know you guys won't have any problems, right?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Alright, so who's gonna do the first piss test?
Alright, well, I guess.
Alright, let's go, mister. Alright, Andy, I need you to fill about this much. Alright?
Alright.
Get him there. I should check if he's doing anything illegal. Right about there. Andy, did you take a couple drugs at that party I heard about? Well, it shows, but you're a vital employee to this company. So I'll let that thing slide. But do it again, you're fired. Got it?
Cool, boss.
All right. See you later.
See ya.
All right, Matt. Same thing. Fill out where the custom is.
Alright.
Get them out. All right. Let's go. So how did that go?
I think it went okay.
Let me taste it. Sounded like you had a lot at this party.
I don't remember too much about it.
Too much, huh? Well, guess what we're gonna do for you? You're fired. Just because you can't allow this. Taking drugs. Alright?
Alright.
Get your stuff and go.
Now, what happened in this skit? 2 employees took a drug test at their company, and both of them failed. The manager, instead of firing both employees for violating the zero-tolerance drug policy, he kept the good employee and fired the bad one. By being biased towards the good employee and keeping him around while firing the other, he's opened the company up to legal action from the offended party because he violated his own zero-tolerance policy. This policy is supposed to impose automatic punishment for infractions of a stated rule with the intention of eliminating undesirable conduct. This will always be bad for the company because now they are liable to court cases. Now a little background on zero-tolerance drug policies in the workplace. These policies forbid persons in positions of authority from exercising discretion or changing punishments to fit the circumstances subjectively. They are required to impose a predetermined punishment regardless of the degree of the problem or their history. The policies can cover areas such as dishonesty to reliability, but the most intriguing area is the use of drugs in the workplace. Substance abuse costs American businesses approximately $10,000 per drug abuser due to productivity losses, absenteeism, and increased insurance premiums. For example, drug abusers file 5 times more workers' compensation claims than the average worker, contributing to double-digit annual insurance premium increases. However, in recent years, the number of companies that require drug testing is dropping. The percentage of companies conducting drug and alcohol testing for all employees dropped from 74% in 2010 to 64% in 2011. This has happened because positive results for drugs by urinalysis are declining. Positive drug readings by urinalysis tests are declining because potential employees have found ways to cheat the test, or they quit doing drugs for some time before the test, then resume once they're hired. This is also very common because most companies test pre-hire, but only 39% of surveyed firms perform random drug and alcohol screening. The long-term cost of drug testing is a reason for not keeping up with drug testing throughout the whole length of employment. Drug testing is very expensive, usually around $45 per test for large companies. Drug testing would be a huge amount of their spending, and it is often not seen as being worth the money. Companies and businesses alike have turned to these zero tolerance drug policies to avoid unnecessary legal cases brought up by the parties involved. The policies practiced by these companies and businesses do not allow any room for employee error. Once employees are caught breaking the rules regarding the zero tolerance policy, a punishment will be implemented, whether the offense is minor or major. One way to look at these policies is used with this example. Consider a building with a few broken windows. If the windows are not repaired, the tendency is for vandals to break a few more windows. Eventually, they may even break into the building, and if it's unoccupied, perhaps become squatters or light fires inside. Or consider a sidewalk. Some litter accumulates. Soon, more litter accumulates. Eventually, people even start leaving bags of trash from takeout restaurants. This idea is brought up to compare with the idea of zero tolerance policies and how they can shape a workplace. If an employee breaks a rule in the workplace and only receives a minimal consequence or no consequence at all, they will be more liable to commit another violation since they do not fear the previous consequence. With zero tolerance policy in effect, the business can set the consequences for a violation before it happens. That way, every employee knows what would happen if they broke the rule.
Next, we'll be talking about current business practices relating to the zero tolerance drug policy and how companies are dealing with zero tolerance drug policy. Since drugs are continuing to be an increasing problem in the United States, many companies have implemented a number of ways to hinder drug use by their employees. Drug testing by urinalysis and oral fluids and drug policies, such as zero tolerance drug policies, are the most common way companies are taking control of the drug problem. Drug testing by urinalysis is an easy and seemingly accurate way of testing an employee for drugs. Urinalysis is the most common way of testing for drugs, but other methods have become popular, like oral fluid-based testing. It is rising in popularity because it's quick, easy, and convenient for both employer and employee. Employers no longer need to mess around with having restrooms available, lab samples, or specimen cups. Currently, there is no known way to cheat the oral fluid-based test. Another advantage to this type of test includes that the results can be read fairly quickly and the employer can do it themselves instead of relying on a team of scientists and lab technicians. The biggest advantage to oral fluid-based testing is that all parts of the test can be done at the workplace. The benefits of oral fluid-based testing have been observed in numerous studies. For an example, a heavy highway contractor implemented oral fluid-based drug testing in 2001 and experienced a dramatic reduction in workers' compensation claims. The 150-employee firm had long used urinalysis to detect abuse among its workers, but in 2001 the firm decided to revamp its safety manual and rewrote its employee handbook, implementing a zero-tolerance drug and alcohol use policy, and began oral fluid-based testing. This is a perfect example of how companies are dealing with drug abuse and zero-tolerance drug policy. Like the contractor, numerous companies are reviewing their handbooks, rewriting them, applying new policies, and proceeding in conjunction with employing a zero-tolerance drug policy. Next, practices that result from drug testing and zero-tolerance drug policies include creating a clear and basic drug testing policy, which is also fair, treating all employees equally and implementing the policy at all times, and frequently reviewing the policy to note any changes that may need to be added or removed. The policy also needs to be given to every employee in written, and the employee must sign a form saying that they understand the terms and conditions of the drug policy. This ensures that the policy is clearly understood by all the company makes known expectations and consequences of behavior. The company also needs to make sure the policy is implemented at all times. This relates back to the clarity and procedure fairness of the drug policy. An employer must apply the policy to all employees. If not, legal action may be taken against the employer in favor of the employee. Human resource managers also need to review the policy and procedures frequently in order to analyze the effectiveness of the policy and to analyze how successful the policy is. If an employee gets caught, there are numerous treatment programs for an employee who takes drugs. An employee can go to substance abuse programs to get back on track. An employer should seek an employee should seek help if they are trying to get rid of the habit. If it is affecting their performance or starts a habit, they should ask for help and guidance. Overall, drug testing is an important part for a company. They believe they should test you to know If they believe they should test you to know if you're taking illegal substances, they have the right to know.
Impact on society. We're going to focus on 4 main points. Drug-free workplace of 1988. Does it invade your policy? Meaning if they're going through, are they allowed to give you this drug test? Performance enhancer and the reality of it. So the drug-free workplace of 1988 is basically a test to show potential employees drug and alcohol use, not to prove if it's employee's impairment. So they're not testing on how a person does under the influence, but basically if there's anything in their system. Tests usually, like they said like they said earlier, tests are usually taken through. You can do it through peeing in a cup, and they can tell if you're doing. They can test it out through a hair test, and I believe sometimes they could through even checking through your blood. It depends on which way, because they have. It can be expensive to do any of these tests. Invasion of privacy. In business, not all companies are required to do a drug test on their employees. On the website for the United States Department of Labor, it explains that it's under law that non-employment places have to request a drug test under the Drug-Free Workplace Act of 1988. Privacy is one of the most important aspects of the ethical of drugs in the workplace. Critics of drug testing programs argue that employees have a basic right to privacy. Employees cannot intrude on this privacy without serious cause and in a manner that is reasonable. In a way, drug testing may seem like a company is accusing an employee of using illegal drugs. However, companies have the right to know because they will be protecting the company and its employees by removing drug users from the workforce. Even though those are private issues, people argue how far a company can go. So even though in a way it's invading their privacy, they still have the right to know if you aren't under the influence. You are accepting the job, so you're giving your rights for them to give you that drug test. Just in a way like how they can look through your profiles on Facebook. They have the right to know if you're using any illegal substance that can affect your work. Employees who do use drugs, illegal drugs, or any sort of drugs in the workforce believe it can be a performance enhancers. They believe it can help employees, meaning if they have any stress issues or nervous working, they believe sometimes they need some sort of drug or some way of calming down. That's why a lot of people who do smoke breaks, they need that relaxation. Some may use something as a legal drug to relax. Some need it just to calm them out to use throughout the whole day. But that can be dangerous if it is an illegal drug that can alter your consciousness, your feeling, any of your senses. So they are in danger of hurting other employees and the company itself. So even though they might think it can help benefit them, it's still a dangerous way of hurting the company and other employees because that can lead to lawsuits. And if the business did not give a drug test to an employer, they can be in trouble just for not drug testing them. So they should be careful when hiring an employee, and if they need to do a drug test, they should. The reality: if a business should be able to push forward a drug test, an employer should be able to take one. Because a business should go for a drug free workplace. They want to keep all employees safe and their performance positive. So, what does the future hold for zero tolerance programs and drug use in the workplace? A number of things could happen regarding the influence that the policies will have on the business world. We believe that the zero tolerance drug policy will catch on very rapidly with many businesses, not only around the nation, around the world. These policies took off in America earlier this century, but the percentage of business using them has dropped off significantly in the past year. Employees have found certain ways to cheat the drug test, including stop usage of the drug sometimes before the test and resuming consumption once hired. So, to combat the known ways to beat the test, we believe that more random drug testing on the job will catch on with employees quickly. This way, the employee cannot plan ahead to beat the test. We have all seen random drug testing work and business around our home area with friends and family being subject to random drug testing on the job. Oral food based testing is also increased in use because it is quick, easy, and convenient. This could be an option that business look towards more in the future since there is no way to beat the test. The result can also be read very quickly by the employer themselves instead of relying on the lab samples and scientists. One drawback found when using this variety of different drug policies is the cost of running the test. Each type of test has its own equipment and specialists it needs to be completed, and the cost could outweigh the benefits in some cases. Some smaller businesses may not be able to afford the cost that comes with any of the test types and may stop the idea of drug testing altogether. Other larger businesses can probably find the money to pay for the drug testing to keep the company clean and stay ethical in the eye of the public. Drug users are unreliable and costly to most businesses, alluding to the fact that all business should use drug testing if possible. A source stated that drug abusers are absent from work 10 times more than non drug users. Overall, we believe that all businesses should use some form of drug testing to make sure their business is running smoothly from the inside and out. The only problem is the cost ends up becoming the deciding factor when a company is trying to implement the testing. The bottom line is that some businesses can afford any kind of testing they want, while other businesses do not have the funds to keep up the testing. Our society has become so advanced with drug testing in the workplace of the business, either have to keep up with the ongoing technology shift or their testing will become inferior and beatable by the employee.